everyone, welcome to Checkpoint. Yeah, it's your host again, Dr. Ifama Eze, and today we come with something wonderful again for just for you. And I'd like to start by saying thank you, and thank you again for all the ways that you make Checkpoint fly. Thank you for your likes, your comments, your shares, and for subscribing on my YouTube channel. For all of this, I am very, very grateful. You know that without you, there is no we. And because of that, we cannot do this program without you. Remember, at Checkpoint, we equip, we edify, and we empower you to become the very best version of yourself. And that's why we bring you quality information that will help you to get there and become that better version of yourself. And I want to say, first and foremost, that I'm grateful for all the ways through which you make Checkpoint a blessing to our generation. Thank you, and thank you again. So today on Checkpoint, I have a very important and very, very insightful topic for you today. And but you know that before I share that, we have to do something. So that is share it, share, and share. This is the time for you to share the link, let everyone know that Checkpoint is on right now. All right, share to your friends, share to your relations, share to your associates, and share to your neighbors. Let everyone know that Checkpoint is on and it's going to be another insightful moment. So please, let's do that quickly, very quickly, so that I can share with you the topic I have for today. Because you know, as usual, the topic I always have is sensational, insightful, and worthy of being learned. So let's do this together. I'll be right back after this break, and then I'll share with you what I have for you. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to Checkpoint. So today on Checkpoint, the topic I have for you is a wonderful topic. The topic today is signs of high emotional intelligence in marriage. Signs of high emotional intelligence in marriage. You know, I am an emotional intelligence expert, and this is something I have done for a good number of years. And I have also done different videos on emotional intelligence for your learning on this platform. But today, I'm not just going to go into the nitty gritties of emotional intelligence as it were. I'm just going to apply it as it relates to marriage. So today we're going to be looking at signs of high emotional intelligence in marriage. So basically, everything I'll be speaking about will be how emotional intelligence relates or how it is expressed in marriage. Now, when I'm talking about a marriage, obviously, I'm talking about a husband and a wife who love each other, who have decided to live their lives together for the rest of their lives. And my focus today is on how the both of them can show that they have high emotional intelligence in order to be able to live together as a couple. So this is what we'll be dealing with today. I've always told you that emotional intelligence itself describes the ways in through which you as an individual, you are able to understand your feelings, you are able to regulate or maintain your feelings, and then you're also able to tune into the feelings of others in order to have a very good relationship with them. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, it starts with you and then it takes you to the other person. You are able to tune in to the other person. So for you as a person, you are able to be aware of what you are feeling. You are aware of what you are feeling per time, and then you are able to maintain, regulate, control what it is that you are feeling, and you're able to tune into the relationship, the feelings of another person in order to have quality relationships with them. So that's just like the basic what emotional intelligence is all about. Now, being married, we understand that you are married to a different person, right? Somebody you may not have known all for the rest of your life, for the earlier part of your life, and all of a sudden you are going to live with this person for the rest of your life. Chances are that there will be some awkward moments. Chances are that there will be some times when you don't understand each other. Chances are that there will be moments when both of you will not agree on a particular thing, and this is absolutely normal. People say we have to avoid conflict, but in reality, wherever there are human beings, wherever there is, and in fact, just two human beings, there will certainly be conflict. Look at our mouths. Our mouths are equipped with our tongue and our teeth. And then you see from time to time, even while I make videos, oh my, I can't even count how many times my tongue, my teeth has beat my tongue while I'm still talking, right? It can be seriously painful. I don't know how many of you noticed already, but I just beat my tongue. But I didn't show it. I didn't show that because I have to master the skills of being able to stay in front of the camera and endure my pain all by myself. And so it is in marriage, you know. In marriage, you need to know how to understand, tolerate, and forgive the other person that you are dealing with in marriage, the other person that you are in marriage with. So it's one of the things that you have to, you have to understand, because this is what you're going to do together for the long run. So you may not be able to avoid conflict, but you should be able to resolve conflict. So while you may not be able to avoid conflict, even like I cannot avoid the conflict in my mouth between my tongue and my teeth, now I can't you can't also avoid the conflict that comes with living with a person, living with a spouse, and doing that for the rest of your life. But you can resolve them. All right, you can resolve them, you can control them and reduce them to a minimal, but it's not going to evaporate entirely as long as both of you have two functioning different brains and two functioning emotions and intellect. So there would certainly be conflict. So in a marital relationship, in a marriage relationship, there is need for the both of you to be able to show and display high levels of emotional intelligence while dealing with each other. Now, one thing about emotional intelligence is that emotional intelligence does not make you stupid, it does not make you a fool, it does not make you a robot, all right? It does not make you a doll. You still have your mind, you still have your brain, but then you are having effective relationship with somebody that you are in marriage with. All right. So I'm relating the emotional intelligence to marriage. You are having a very wonderful relationship with the person you are in marriage with simply because you have a high level of emotional intelligence. So you're able to relate to the person better. You're able to have a beautiful marriage. You're able to have a blissful marriage simply because you know the right things to do. So today I'll be sharing with you 10 signs of high emotional intelligence in marriage. 10 signs of high emotional intelligence in marriage. The first one I'd like to share with you is this. When you have high emotional intelligence in marriage, number one, you can disagree on any topic. You can be angry about anything without attacking your spouse. Okay, you can disagree on anything, you can be angry with your spouse without attacking your spouse. So you can be angry with your spouse concerning a particular thing he or she has done, but you are not attacking the essence of who they are. All right, you're not using wrong words, you're not using hurtful words on them. There are people that when they are angry, they just open their mouth, and whatever flows through their mouth is being poured on the person that they claim to love. I understand that you are angry. I understand that you are not okay with a particular decision or a particular situation, but then you can disagree to agree. Then you can disagree and even get angry, but don't hurt the person that you claim to love. All right, don't attack them as if they are your enemy. There is a way you attack your spouse. It should look like your spouse is the actual enemy you have been praying about against, you have been trying to pursue all the days of your life. And that is really not necessary. A proof of high emotional intelligence is that you are able to relate with your spouse. You are able to tell your spouse the way through which he or she has been able to hurt you, has been able to make you angry, in the areas in which you do not agree with him or her, without using hurtful words, without attacking them, without making him or her look like they are the enemy. This is a major sign of emotional intelligence in marriage. I've been married for a very good number of years. I don't want to say a very long time because to me, 18 years is not yet a very long time, but I've been married for a good number of years. And I can tell you that there will be many times that your loving, wonderful spouse will make you angry. I can tell you boldly that there will be many times when your loving, beautiful spouse will get you upset. There are times that both of you may not be able to agree on the same thing. So, what is the way to go? What then do? You have to come to that point where you're able to resolve the conflict. All right, you're able to talk about the issue without fighting each other. You have to talk sense with the other person in the tone and in the manner with which this person does not feel like I'm being attacked, right? So you have to calm down. You have to leave out hurtful words entirely. Because how do you want to have a conversation with somebody when all your words are hurtful? All right, that's not going to cut it. That's not going to work at all. So you have to calm down and talk to him. You have to calm down and talk to her. Don't say, "Oh, I am the man of the house. I can say anything I want." No, it doesn't work like that. You have to calm down and don't turn them into enemies. All right, try to understand that it is both of you in one camp, both of you in one team against the world. All right, both of you are on the same side. So don't fight as if you guys are sworn enemies. Don't quarrel as if you guys are sworn enemies. You guys should have a way of disagreeing to agree and then find a way. Even if you're angry, calm down and let him or her know the way that he or she has made you angry. All right, so let me show you number two sign of high emotional intelligence in marriage. And number two sign is that you are able to at least complain about what your husband's or wife's siblings or parents have done um, without making it look like they are the enemies, all right? Without disrespecting them, without making them look like they have no connection with you, like they are outcasts, all right? So you have to find a way to resolve issues with your spouse, especially when it concerns his siblings or his parents. This is very, very important. When you complain about your in-laws, use some discretion, all right? Complain a little and calm down a little. Don't complain as if you have no control over your emotions. Don't use negative words on them. Don't use hurtful words on them. Remember that these are the family members of your spouse. No matter how much you angry you are, no matter what has happened, no matter the ways in which you feel that they have disrespected you, you have to let your spouse know this in a very calm manner. So don't complain about them in a way that you are disrespecting them at the same time. Because when you do that, when you're disrespecting them, you're equally disrespecting your spouse, himself or herself. And as such, that individual will begin to raise what we call a defense system. A defense system to defend himself and his heritage, to defend himself and his siblings, to defend himself and his parents, and to let you know that uh, um, you can't see them that way and expect to love him or love her. So with the defense system comes a lot of agitations and fight and conflict. At the end of the day, you make a wreck out of your relationship simply because you have no value system to be able to control your emotions, especially as regards how you feel about your in-laws. So please don't turn your in-laws to outcasts. Don't treat them as if they're the enemies that you are seeing. I understand. Oh, I understand. I've had my own fair share of experience. So I can tell you, I understand that sometimes some in-laws can treat you in a ways that are very disrespecting, but then no matter what happens, you have to intentionally let them know who you are by the way you behave. If you return evil for evil, if you return harshness for harshness, if you return an eye, give an eye for an eye, what's the difference between you and them? Right? So they pour water on you, you to pour water back. What's the difference between you and them? You have reduced yourself to what you are not, to who you are not. And you should be ashamed of yourself because the honest truth is this: if somebody makes you do what you are not supposed to do, at the end of the day, that thing you did is who you truly are. Because there is no pressure you mount on plantain and then you turn that plantain to pawpaw. Two of them may start from P and P, but they are not the same. There is no amount of pressure you put on banana, and at the end of the day, banana turns to mango. It's impossible, because no matter the pressure you put on banana, banana will still be banana. Banana will bring out banana taste, all right? It will bring out banana water. It will not bring out anything that makes the substance banana. But when you begin to say, "Oh, they pushed me, they made me do what I'm not supposed to do," or it's because of them I'm behaving like that, or I wouldn't have done that if they didn't do that, stuff like that. So I always tell you on this program that it is the water that remains outside the ship that keeps the ship afloat. All right. If a ship must sink, water from outside the ship must get into the ship. So my advice for you is this: you think you are good and you have difficult in-laws, please don't treat them like outcasts. All right, they are your in-laws, not an outcast, and don't treat them that way. Complain about what they may be doing objectively. All right, talk about what they did or what they are doing, and then do not disrespect them, do not curse them, do not speak negatively about them, because at the end of the day, you might find your spouse that you love, your spouse that are complaining to, defending their actions, and then you feel betrayed by that, and that's not what you want. All right, so let's talk about of number three sign of high emotional intelligence in marriage. And number three sign is that you are able to tell your spouse that you are not in the mood. You're not in the mood to feel all lovey-dovey. You're not in the mood to make love. You're not in the mood to hang out with him or her. You're not in the mood to play with him or her without making them feel rejected. All right. There is a way there's a way you can hang out with your husband, hang out with your wife. And even though you are not in the mood, all right, there's a way you can let them know that you don't feel that way, all right? You don't feel that way at this very moment, and yet you don't make them feel like you are rejecting them. All right, being married, there have been moments where I am not like in the mood. All right, so not being in the mood is not a problem, but when it becomes a problem is when you're not always in the mood. It becomes a problem. You are married, for crying out loud. You are meant to be a companion to your spouse, so you cannot afford to not be in the mood all the time. So what I'm saying now is not about those who are not in the mood on Monday, not in the mood on Tuesday, not in the mood on Wednesday, not in the mood on Thursday and Friday. No, no. Those are not the kind of people I'm talking about. I am talking about those who once in a while are not in the mood. But because you are not in the mood does not mean that your spouse will also not be in the mood. So what then do you do? That is at times when you begin to make quality sacrifices, all right? So even though you are not feeling all lovey-dovey, you can decide to make a little sacrifice at least somewhere to meet your spouse halfway. All right, so it might be that he or she wants to play and you're not ready to play. You can meet him or her halfway. It can be that he or she wants to hang out or wants to eat out and you're not in the mood to do that. You can start to order a takeout. Just meet him or her halfway. All right, that way you'll be able to balance things out. I've heard of a couple, a marriage counselor, talking about beautiful sex and beautiful sex. These are the two kinds of sex that married people should be able to have. There are times that it is beautiful, which means they're dedicating time, you're dedicating your energy, your time to be able to have very beautiful sex with your spouse. But there are times that it has to be beautiful sex, which means that one of you is necessarily not in the mood, but because you want to please your spouse, you go ahead and do what you have to do. And that is called a beautiful sex. So beautiful sex might not be as elaborate as a beautiful sex. Beautiful sex might not take as much time as beautiful sex. Sex may be very quick, and beautiful sex might take more time. But whichever way it is, just make sure that beautiful sex does not become a bigger, major part of your love relationship. All right. So there may be times you might not be feeling all honey like your spouse is, but then you can just come give them a warm hug and just say, "Let me hold you," and that is it, because that's all you can offer at that time. But don't make your spouse feel rejected. All right, this is heartbreaking as it is for men. It is also the same way for the women. All right, so if you have a spouse always making you feel rejected, always making you feel unwanted, it becomes a problem in the long run. Everybody wants somebody who can love him or her unconditionally. So if there is anything in you that will always make you not to be in the right mood to be able to become that wife or that husband to your spouse, it's a problem, and you just have to work on it and find a way to gain a middle ground. All right. Good. So let's talk about number four. Number four sign of high emotional intelligence in marriage is that you come to the point where you are, maybe you want to advance in your studies, you want to scale up, you want to upgrade yourself, either in your career or your studies or your finances or your business. You should be able to do this without making your spouse feel like they are a failure. Hmm? This is very, very important. There are people that, as if you just get a new certificate or a new degree, you begin to look down on your spouse, you begin to look down on your husband or your wife because you now have a new degree, maybe from an international university. Never ever do that. That is not acceptable in any way. Don't forget that it is their support that helps you to get there. So, what am I saying in this point? Don't ever upgrade or scale up and then make your spouse feel like they are a failure. All right. So, while you are upgrading and while you are scaling up, never make your spouse feel like they are a failure. This point is so important. You can, as an individual with high emotional intelligence, you cannot look at your spouse and make him or her feel like they are no longer up to your standard. You cannot make them feel like they're no longer up to your standard. You cannot make them feel like they are no longer at par with you. They're no longer at your level simply because you have upgraded, simply because you have scaled up, maybe your academics or maybe your career, or you have a bigger job, or you make more money, or you have a new appointment, whether with the government or something. Don't ever make your spouse feel like they are a failure because they're not able to do the things that you are doing. Remember, always remember that it is both of you who are now one flesh, all right? Both of you are now one flesh. Nobody should keep scale up at the expense of the other. Nobody should upgrade at the expense of the other. The fact that you were able to upgrade and you are the spouse that is now getting more money, doing a better job, having an advancement in career should also make you to be humble enough to relate with the person who gives you the biggest support as a spouse. And this is very, very important. Many of us miss out on this entirely because we begin to get all puffed up, all arrogant, and we talk to them anyhow. After all, I'm the one with a bigger job. After all, I'm the one who makes the more money. After all, I'm the one who is more recognized than you because I am a celebrity, and then I should treat you like a celebrity, you know. That shouldn't be the case. The fact that you're a celebrity should not make you treat your spouse like your spouse is a celebrity. All right, that's not in the English dictionary. But make whatever you want from it. All right, so this is very, very important. Be humble enough to relate with your spouse. Be humble enough to love and appreciate your spouse for who he or she is. All right, and this is very, very important. Let's talk about number five. Number five sign of high emotional intelligence in marriage is that you are able to go through a difficult time. All right, you are able to go through a difficult time with your spouse, and you choose, you decide to remain faithful through it all. All right, I know difficult times come, and difficult times can come for different reasons. There are different things in life that can truly make our lives difficult. But no matter what happens, the fact that you choose your spouse over and over again is a proof that you have high emotional intelligence. There are people that with every little pressure, they just give up on their spouse. With every little pressure, they have gone to sleep with another woman, they have gone to sleep with another man simply because they can't handle the pressure. Even the Bible tells us that if you fail in the day of adversity, your strength is small. Your strength is very, very teeny, very small. So the proof that you have high emotional intelligence is that you are able to withstand the pressure and take and remain committed to the vow that you have made. So you tell yourself, no matter what happens, I have made a commitment to this man. I have made a commitment to this woman. I'm going to remain faithful no matter how difficult things are. I know that we are just in a difficult season, and like every season, seasons will come and seasons will go. Every season does not bring the same kind of result. Every season does not bring the same kind of result. But there was a story, the parable of one man who sent out four of his children to go and observe a tree at four different seasons. One went during the fall, the other one went during autumn, the other one went during spring, the other one went during summer. And when they went, they had different observations of the same one tree. They came back reporting different things about that same one tree. And you know, they had different reports, divergent reports, but it was still the same tree. The difference was the season in which they went to see the tree. So please understand that difficult seasons will come in your life. And when those difficult seasons come, choose to remain by the side of your spouse. Choose to keep choosing your spouse. That is why I tell people usually that love is not a feeling. All right, feelings are fickle. I'm feeling hot, I put on the AC and I'm not feeling hot anymore. Feelings are fickle. I'm hungry, I eat, I'm not hungry anymore. Feelings are fickle. But love is a decision. Love is not a feeling. And this is the message I bring to married couples everywhere in the world. Love is not a feeling, it's a decision. So no matter the difficult moments you are going through, no matter the difficult seasons you are going through, do well to stick by the side of your spouse through it all. Is that okay? All right. So let's talk about number six. But before we do that and talk about number six, I'd like us to have a recap about from number one to five. I said number one, if you're angry, if you're disagreeing with your spouse, find a way to do that without attacking your spouse or making an enemy out of your spouse. Number two, I said find a way to complain about your in-laws without making them outcast. All right, and disrespecting them. Please don't disrespect them. Number three, I said that even when you're not in the mood, don't make your spouse feel rejected. So find a way to bridge the gap. All right, find a way to have a middle ground to meet them halfway. All right. Number four, we talked about even when you upgrade and when you scale up, please do not make your spouse feel like they are a failure or a disappointment. Never do that to your spouse. And then number five, we talked about that even in the difficult seasons, when the seasons at times are difficult, please choose, make a decision to stand by your spouse. Make a decision to remain faithful and stand by your vows. This is very, very important. So let's talk about number six. Number six sign of high emotional intelligence in marriage is that you can decide, you can choose to help your spouse or support your spouse without making them feel enslaved. All right. In the news the other day, I think that was last week, I heard about a man that was saying that he upgraded his wife with 300,000. Wait, while 300,000 might look like some money to him, in our current Nigeria, 300,000 is really worth nothing. Okay? And the fact that you gave somebody 300,000, not just somebody, your wife, your own wife, shouldn't make you to put it out there like you did her one big favor. You should be able to help your spouse. You should be able to support your spouse without enslaving them, without making them feel like, if not for me, what would your life amount to? If not that I helped you, would you be useful in your life? I'm the one that changed your life. Even if you're the one training your spouse in school, even if you're the one training your spouse in please do well not to use such words on them. Try hard with every energy in you. Try hard to say positive words, good words, words that edify, words that bless them. Don't help somebody or support somebody and then enslave the person as if the person has no self worth. As a matter of fact, it is of God's mercy that you are in the position to help. It is of God's mercy that you're in the position to support. It could have been the other way around. Will the other person treat you the same way you are treating him or her right now? So if God has enabled you, if God has helped you, please go ahead and help your spouse. It's not something for you to put on the television or something to put on the radio. Both of you are now one flesh, and both of you have a commitment to make. You have to come together and live life together. You have to come together and build your lives together and build each other up. And this is what spouses are meant to do. Husbands and wives are meant to build each other up. Husbands and wives are meant to help each other advance. So when you are helping your spouse, don't treat them like because you have helped them. Now they have to be bowing their heads down to you because you have helped them. They don't have any life at all until you say so, and that shouldn't be the situation. It's not right. It's not all right. So let's talk about number seven. Number seven, we'll be talking about the seventh sign that you have high emotional intelligence, and that happens when you have friends. All right, you can decide to have friends without making your spouse feel insecure. There are people that when maybe you work in a bigger organization or in a better organization, and because of that, when you are hanging out with your friends, you can't let your spouse come around because you feel your spouse is going to embarrass you. You feel like your spouse is not up to that level. He or she cannot make intelligent conversation, or maybe you are even ashamed of them, or maybe they are not in the same class with your friends. All right, that should not be okay. As a matter of fact, it is a duty, it is your responsibility to build up your spouse, to make your spouse better. So if you are hanging out with your friends and then it's a kind of friend meeting where you can invite somebody along, please invite your spouse. Don't make your spouse feel insecure because of the kind of friends that you have, because of the class of friends that you have. And say, oh, I'm going to hang out with my friends, but you can't be there because when you're there, you embarrass me, you say the wrong thing, you speak the wrong grammar, you dress in a funny way, or you make that funny sound you do when you eat and stuff like that. This is because that person you are looking down on, that's your spouse you're looking down on, your spouse is still a prayer point for somebody else out there. It's just that they have made a commitment to live with you. And that should not give you the right to now feel like enslaving them or making them look like they are fools. Don't make your spouse look like your spouse is nothing simply because you are too familiar with them. The people out there are not too familiar with him or her. They still love your spouse, they still cherish your spouse, they still see your spouse as somebody they look up to. All right. So please don't make your spouse feel insecure because of the kind of friends you hang out with. And they're saying, oh, please, these are just my friends. My friends have a different class. We don't need somebody like you. This is a terrible thing for you to say to your spouse. I know of people who do this. They are always hanging out with their friends and they don't feel like their spouse is qualified to be in such a. That is absolutely not okay. It's absolutely not right and something you should never ever do. So you can have friends. Nobody said you cannot have friends. By the fact that you are married does not mean you are in prison. Okay, you are married, not in prison. And if you are married, you should have the liberty to be able to have friends, people that you hang out with. And but I always insist, I always say that you should make sure that your spouse is your best friend. That is the safest thing to do. If any best friend you usually have outside your spouse, it might work out for a while, it might last for a while, but eventually, sometimes, let me just use the word sometimes it doesn't work out well. So your spouse should be your best friend. There is nothing, this is somebody you're sharing your life with. Friends come, friends go, all right? But your spouse is somebody you have made a commitment to live with for the rest of your life. You didn't make a vow to have a friend, all right? There were no vows that were made. But for you to get married, you were able to make a vow. You made some vows to be married to that person. So this is not the time for you to just take it with levity. And it shouldn't be so because you are a high emotionally intelligent individual. All right, let's talk about number 8. Number 8 sign that you have high emotional intelligence in marriage is that you have ability to give your children attention without making your spouse feel replaced by them. Mhm. This is something that happens all the time, especially to new mothers. New mothers, they have this beautiful bundle of joy that they have to breastfeed, they have to nurture on a regular basis. And because of that, they become so engrossed with this new child, with this wonderful new baby, fresh baby from heaven, and then they begin to neglect their spouse. This is something never ever did because understand this, your children will be with you for a while before they go out to start their own families, all right? And but your spouse is the person you're going to live life and get old with together. So invest in the love life between you and your husband, or between you and your spouse. Invest in love life that you both share. All right, don't treat your spouse with levity because the children have come. You know that it is not exclusive for just the women. Oh, I know of a man who has this pretty daughter. He has the first child, and the first child is a girl. He would do anything. He will move heaven and earth for this girl. In fact, this girl started growing and she discovered that if she asks for anything, just about anything, daddy will give her. So, but when mommy asks, daddy does not give mommy. So this girl started asking her father for money and for some other things. And when she collects, she goes to give to her mother and tells her mommy, stop crying. I will collect money for that. It's for you. It should not be so. A girl is not permitted to see her father treat her mother in such a way. This man loved his daughter to pieces. Like he loved her so much that he would do anything for her, and he started neglecting his wife. And he forgot that it is his wife that gave birth to that pretty daughter he loves so much. I was opportune to watch a video. I don't want to call the video any bad name, but I was watching the video and men were asked this question: between your wife, your mother, and your daughter, who would you choose? Who would you save if you had a chance to save just one person? And they asked what prioritize them, all right, put them in these categories and stuff like that. And they were answering these questions, and I noticed that almost all the men there, their wives last. And I was wondering why some said it to their mother all the way, some said their daughter all the way, and stuff like that. One person even said a wife is replaceable. But if we as believers do marriage the way God wants us to do marriage, marriage is not supposed, your spouse is not supposed to be replaceable, right? And this was not okay at all. That's why I'm saying I'm going to exercise some emotional intelligence right now and not call that video any kind of names because they just said based on what they know, all right? They voiced their opinions based on the quality of information they have at their disposal. So I'm not going to blame anyone. But then it's important that for both husbands and for both wives, it is important that you give your children attention without making your spouse replaced. What I'm telling you is not even far fetched. I'm almost 18 years in marriage. Let me tell you what just happened yesterday so that you won't think it's something that happens to just newly married couple. So, yesterday I wanted to have some time to make food with my boys. All right. So, from time to time, I take my boys to the kitchen so that we make food. I'm raising some quality husband materials. So, as I was going down, I was just trying to prep them for the food making. We made rice and beans jollof that day. It was delicious. You needed to be in my house to eat it. But it's finished, so nothing for you. But then, let me tell you what happened. I was talking to them and I was about to go down. My husband said, where are you going down? Stay Saturday. Stay up here. Let's talk. So I do we feel like from morning, this is already past one, and I need to go down to the kitchen. My chef, by the way, traveled for a personal matter, and I had to step in for just a little while. I was like, just stay with me a little. I said, okay, what would you want me to do? Okay, let me make a promise. I'm going to go down with the boys. When I'm done, I will still come back to you. And somehow the ability to find a way to bridge that gap, all right, between both your spouse and your children without making each other feel neglected, is a lot of wisdom. I wouldn't ask anybody to prioritize at this point, but the key word here is balance. Know how to balance your relationship with your husband, with your relationship with your children. There are some new mothers that when they give birth to a new child, they'll take that child and place in between their husband and themselves, which means that this man has no right to touch you at night. This man has no right to roll on your side or bring you close, nothing, because you have placed a baby, a tender baby at that, in between the both of you. I always advise that as a new mother, always have a pram or a baby cot just close to the bed, all right? Have a baby bed just or a baby mattress or whatever, just close to the bed, but not on the bed, all right? In the same room, if it must. My children, I had to how to sleep in their rooms early, all right? Early in as they were babies. So they learned how to stay on their own, all right? Unless when they needed attention or when they were ill. When they were ill, I always kept them in the same room with me, but not on like in between my husband and I. They'll be in the same room, but in a different cot or bed close to our actual bed. So that way you're not destroying your relationship, or you're not destroying your love life with your spouse. What? Because you're just trying to have a attention or give attention to your children. So learn how to give attention to your children without making your spouse feel like they have been replaced by the children. because these children that you are pouring all the love and all the affection on, they will soon leave the house and start their own families. And this is what causes, makes some mother-in-laws look like they are witches. Right? So there's this fight always between mother-in-laws and daughter-in-laws because the mother-in-laws have poured all their love and affection on their children and now on their sons, most important, most especially, and now the wife is now contending between having her husband to herself and stuff like that. So this young man is in a dilemma. He's wondering, how do I balance my relationship with my wife and my relationship with my mother? And this is it gives a lot of headache because men don't know how to navigate this kind of emotional challenges in relationship. So this is very, very important. Don't be a hindrance to the love life of your son simply because you carried all your love and poured on them and you have nothing left for your spouse. So both of you are supposed to grow old together as a couple. And if you're going to grow old together as a couple, you should be able to have enough love to share between you and your husband, all right, till old age, all right. So don't pour in everything on your son. And then when the wife tries to love your son the way she knows how to love, you are interfering. You are turning to a mother-in-law witch because you don't want your son to be okay and enjoy the love of his wife. You want to be there every time. You want to interfere every time. You want to be too nosy and too troublesome. And that should not be. When your son gets old enough and decides to marry, please learn on your own to take a back bench, a back seat in his life. Take a back seat in his life because he's married. He now has a spouse and trust that they will know what to do. Trust that they will do the right thing. Love them so dearly that they would even come to you. And if they don't come to you, love them so much that you trust their decision. Love them so much that you believe that they can figure it out together. After all, you were able to figure out your life with your husband together. So, and trust them that they'll be able to figure their own life out together. So please don't put in. In fact, I know of a man, he has three daughters. He would adore these girls. He would treat these girls wonderfully. He will buy every stuff for them. But his wife, he would give her nothing. He will not take care of her. This man is looking rickety on a consistent basis. In fact, if you see the family working, you will think that it is a man and his daughters with the children's nanny. That's what you think of that family, simply because nobody's taking looking after the wife, nobody's taking care of the wife. He's just enamored with the beauty of his three daughters, and he's that kind of thing is not supposed to be. We should never come to the point where we make our spouse feel replaced because we are giving attention to our children. We should love our spouse equally. We should love our spouse and our children, and we should not make each them to be jealous of each other. You know, the love you have for your spouse is not the same love you have for your children. So that's why I don't think it is right to tell anybody to choose, because that kind of love are all both different. The love for children is different from the love that you have for your spouse. But remember, it's your spouse you made a vow to, and a vow to remain with them till you get gray and old and die. It's your spouse you made a covenant to love for the rest of your life, to share all your worldly goods with. So you have to learn how to keep that vow and keep that commitment to your spouse. All right, let's talk about number 9. Number 9 sign that you have high emotional intelligence in marriage is that you are able to teach your spouse something. You might be able to teach them either how to use their phone, how to use a laptop, how to cook, how to navigate social media, how to fix things at home, how to just about anything. You can teach them anything. You can show them how things are done without making them feel like they are useless or stupid. Uh-huh. Because there are some of you. Because you taught me how to cook, you are making me look like I'm stupid. Because you taught me how to do this, you not think I am a load, I don't have anything in my brain. This should not be. Many spouses teach their spouse and they begin to lord it over their spouses simply because they taught them something. I want you to see yourself as somebody who was privileged to know. You are more privileged to know that thing. And when it comes to marriage, always see each other as a team. Both of you should see each other as if you are working on the same. You are. It's not as if you are working on the same field together. You are building a life together. You are building a life for forever together. So if you are doing this together, you should not see your spouse as a contender. You should not see your spouse as a fellow, as a competition. All right. You both are not competing with each other. You both are complementing each other. So if you have the privilege of teaching me something in this relationship, please don't make me look like I am stupid. You only taught me something. And as a matter of fact, there is still something that I have that I can also teach you. So spouses should learn to come to that point in their relationship with each other when they both know that they learn from each other. They know that I can learn from you, you too can learn from me. Nobody should teach each other with by and make by and end up making each other look stupid because I thought you had to do this. I thought you had to brush your teeth. I thought you had to wash your clothes. I thought you had to do this. It's possible that the other person did not have the opportunity or was not privileged to learn how to do this kind of thing or this certain thing. But the fact that you're the one who taught him or her does not make you superior over them. And therefore, you should not lord yourself. You should not lord it over them. All right. You should not lord it over them because you seem to have known how to do a certain thing. You should be humble enough to do it well. You should be humble enough to relate with them, understand that they are also learned in a certain area, understand that they are also able to teach you something on the other side. So feel free to teach each other without making it look like both of you are competing against each other. You're not competing against each other. Both of you on the same side, on the same field, working towards the same future together. So don't make each other feel that terrible. All right. So the last one, and in case you just joined checkpoint now, please don't just jump to this portion of this video. All right. Go back, watch from the beginning to this point. Go back. I know when you joined, though. Just go back and watch from the beginning of the video and then get to this point. Don't skip and watch it halfway and then say, oh, I just joined and I know everything that's been said in it. No, go back to the beginning and watch this one so that you can make sense of everything I have shared. So number 10 and the last sign that you are a highly emotional, the highly emotionally intelligent individual in your marriage. All right. Remember that the topic we're talking about today is signs of high emotional intelligence in marriage. Another sign that you have high emotional intelligence in marriage is that you can correct or advise your spouse. All right. You can correct or advise your spouse, and you won't make it look like you are commanding them. You won't make it look like you are shouting on them because I corrected you, because I advised you. Calm down. Just calm down very well. If you are correcting your spouse, correct your spouse without shouting. If you're advising your spouse, advise your spouse without shouting. Don't make it look like you're giving them a command. In fact, let me tell you the truth. Any correction you give with a command, any correction you give with shouting, it will always backfire. You will not get the desired result. As a matter of fact, if you want to advise your spouse or correct your spouse over something, please don't do it in public. Come back to the house. Come back to the place that is very private and talk to him or her in a way that they will listen. If you correct them privately, then you will get the desired result. But there is someone like me, don't correct me publicly or don't make me look like I'm stupid. If you correct me with shouting, I'll prove to you that I can shout more than you. I don't used to like that kind of thing. So nobody likes it. It's not just me. If my husband too, you don't correct him by shouting. How will you correct a full-blown man by shouting? Huh? Because you think you have a high pitched voice as a wife? No, 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 no. Both for husband and wife, it is not acceptable. Because remember, that person did not marry you as a child. That person did not marry you even as a teenager. The person married you as a full-blown adult. And as an adult, they have their own sense. As an adult, they have their own mind, and they chose, made up their mind to marry you, not out of pressure, not out of anything. Not nobody put a gun to their head. So when you want to correct an adult, please correct an adult. I know he's your husband. I know she's your wife. Yes, but they are adults. They are adults. So when you want to correct an adult family. Don't say like you are commanding. Yes, I know you are the head of the family. I know you are the husband, but husband, if you don't want to talk to a hunchback in that house, correct with love. If you really want your wife to do what you ask her to do, I know you are a husband, but being the husband and being the head does not mean you have to be shouting down on her every little time. See, even God in heaven, who is our God, is not shouting down at us at every time. If not, you'd have been hearing him roaring from heaven over our actions, but he's not. He just allows the Holy Spirit inside of us, and even the Holy Spirit inside of us. Does he shout at you? Does he command you the way you are commanding your spouse? So if Christ does not love his church like that, you, why are you loving your wife like that? You, why are you talking to your husband like that? Why are you shouting at your husband? Why are you talking as if you're the chief commander of armed forces inside your house? You're only the head of the house. You're only a wife loved by your husband. And the fact that he loves you does not mean that you have the privilege to shout at him whenever you can or however you can. You shouldn't do that. And the fact that you are his wife and that he loves you, the fact that he has made up his mind to cherish you and nurture you for the rest of his life, does not mean you should talk to him anyhow. So when you are correcting him, when you're advising him, say it with a very calm tone. Don't say it as if you are commanding him. Stop shouting, stop yelling. And you, husband, I know you have been given the authority, right? You have been given the command to be the head of the home. But don't yell at your wife. You want her to do what you want her to do, right? You desire that she respects you. Please don't yell at her. Stop commanding her. You're not the chief commander of the armed forces. You are a husband. And a husband, the Bible says, a husband washes her with the water of the word. The water of the word is not harsh. The Bible says it, that he washes her. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 26. He washes her with the water by the word. Even Jesus said, you are now cleansed by the words I have spoken of. See, the word is life. There is a way you speak words into somebody, you bring life into the person. Ezekiel chapter 2, verse 2 says, and when he spoke to me, the Spirit lifted me up and stood me on my feet because the words were lifting. Your words should be lifting. Your words should be edifying. Your words should build up your spouse. Your words should not crash your spouse. Your words should not bring your spouse down. The words you speak should not make your spouse to feel bad or feel low. Your words should lift your spouse up. When he spoke to me, the Spirit entered me and stood me on my feet. Every word you should say to your spouse should be seasoned with salt, seasoned with grace. That's what the Bible says. So there's a way you speak to your spouse and you get the desired result. There's a way you calm down and tell them what exactly you feel, what exactly you are thinking, and you get the desired result. And there's another way you tell them and then you get the opposite result. So all I'm trying to say is that it's important that you correct and advise without shouting on them, without using a commanding tone to make it feel like they are your slave. And these are the few things I want to share with you today on Checkpoint. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate that you came here today. Remember, what we spoke on today was the signs of high emotional intelligence in marriage. When you are able to do all of this, then and only then can we say that you have high emotional intelligence in marriage. So please, if you joined this video late, please do me well. Go back to the beginning and watch it all over again so that it can be a huge blessing to you. Now, until I come your way again, keep making a positive, indelible mark in the lives of people and on the sands of time. I love you so very much. Bye-bye for now.
Hi everyone, I hope you were blessed by that message. All right, so I want you to just go ahead and support us. If you are led, go ahead and just sow into the account right on the screen. And I know that as you do that, God will bless you big time. Because of the seeds you are sowing, we'll be able to reach a wider audience on different platforms. So please do well to sow that seed and God will bless you. Love you.